Hello, I'm back again. I didn't think I'd be back this soon or if I'd be back at all, but I was lucky enough to go back to Japan this year again and buy more crap, mostly games. Um, like last time, I made a list of stuff that I really wanted and I went on a hunt in places like Book Off, Suragaya, Mandrake, all those sort of locations. And I'm just going to show you what I got. I got like a really nice response last time from doing something like this, so I thought I would do it again, which is sweet. So stick this on the background, chill out, relax, and I'm just gonna walk you through all the shit that I bought. So to start off, this is to right or wrong from last time. I believe last time I started with Mother on the Famicom and I noted that I did not own a Famicom, so I bought a Famicom. Yeah, so this is a new Famicom as it's known. It's more colloquially known as the AV Famicom because it is a Famicom with AV out. The original Famicom only had RF out, and it also had the controllers hardwired into the system. This one uses the more sort of traditional NES style controller imports. But yeah, so I was deliberating for so long whether I wanted the AV Famicom or the original Famicom. I do genuinely love the original Famicom's design. I think the beautiful red and white with the gold on the controller just looks absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorite looking systems. But this one is definitely more function over form. I don't have to play around with any mods or anything like that. The design itself is a lot more sterile looking and a lot more interesting. It's definitely more in line with what the NES looked like with its grayness and everything, but I don't have to mess around with modding or anything like this. I can just, slap in the game and we'll know that it works. This one, I believe, was designed by an American because this came out in America. I forget what they call it in America, but I think it's, commonly known in circles as the top loader Famicom, or the top loader NES, I should say. But weirdly, it didn't have AV out. It's still stuck with RF, probably keep down costs. So this is probably like the best way to play NES or Famicom games from Japan, or anywhere really, with just a simple adapter. It does have a little port over here. Let's see if I can get that there. This one here. Yeah. So see if I can pull that out. That was easy enough. You can plug in a disk system with this, and also a zapper. So it still pretty much does everything that a regular Famicom does. It's just better in every way except for aesthetically, which is a shame. Now in Japan it is, and even online it is quite common whenever you do buy an original Famicom that they are modded for AV out. I decided not to really mess with that because buying, I feel quite weird buying hardware, video game hardware that's already been modded, even if it's soft modded, because I'm just, I just feel like, I didn't do that. I don't know how this person did it. I don't know if this will eventually wear down over time, or maybe this person installed something incorrectly. I didn't really want to worry about anything like that, so I just decided to go with the AV Famicom. If I probably will buy an original Famicom at some point, but it'll purely be like a display piece, while this one will actually be used, which I'm very excited to use. To go along with the redesign, they also redesigned the controllers. This is, again, more colloquially known as like the dog bone controller. It's definitely more modeled over the Super Nintendo, as is the sort of overall design of this, really, with these sort of rounded edges. It's definitely more comfortable than the original Famicom ones, but I'm unsure about these button placements. Like, I think if these were laid out a bit more like the Super Famicom with its Y and B buttons, because if you're playing Mario, you're gonna have to be doing this really when you're running and jumping. Well, it just felt a lot more natural on the Super Famicom when you're doing, Super Mario World with the Y and B. So if these were like flipped like this way, I think it would be a little bit better. But I do still quite like this controller, but it is, you know, because it's Japanese, the controller length itself is very, very short. But because it does just use the NES out, you can very easily get extenders for it, or just use I believe it's completely fine to use like a European or a American NES controller with this, so that's pretty neat. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this. This cost me about 11,000 yen, a bit less after tax, so it cost me about 50 quid basically. And these are less common than the regular Famicoms, because I believe this came out in 92, 93 in Japan. So they're a bit less common. So I just said, you know, screw it, why not? It didn't come with any of the like the power lead or the AV cable itself, which is fine honestly, because I couldn't use the power cable back home anyway, because I believe in the UK and Ireland they use DC input or SE input, while Japan uses DC, and there's also, you know, different voltage measures and all that. So I do have a Super Famicom that I'm pretty sure I can just use the same chords for with this, so it's quite easy for me to set up and mess around with. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to check this out and play with it. It's just a really nice light little system as well. Like, I really like how compact it is, and this now means that I own all of the Nintendo systems now, which is great. So yeah. And of course, to go along with that, I had to get some games. I didn't get anything too crazy really. I just decided to go with a lot of quintessential ones. So nothing interesting here, unlike, you know, some of the Super Nintendo games or Super Famicom games I bought last time. Of course, you had to go with Super Mario Brothers. Really, you know, can't really say anything about this game. It was only 720 yen, so it was like, you know, 3 or 4 quid, which is great. Interesting about this, I didn't notice this till after I bought it, but I believe this is the manual for the game. I haven't actually opened it yet, so I may post a picture somewhere of what this actually is after this video. But yeah, like, this is just Super Mario Brothers. Of course you had to get it, and it came with, I also got Super Mario Brothers 3 as well, you know, arguably the best game in the system. Very, very impressive for its time as well. I could not find Super Mario USA, or, you know, outside of Japan, it's, you know, Super Mario Brothers 2. It comes in like a pink cartridge, I believe, and it's a lot more rare in Japan, because I believe that was a late release. Of course, they had the Japanese Mario 2, the Lost Levels, which is, you know, that was a disc system game. I didn't buy a disc system because honestly I'm unsure how much I want to mess around with it, because I've heard that it can be quite temperamental with its sort of ribbon cable with the disc, you know, slot itself. It does work with my AV Famicom if I just get a cable for it, but you know, the fact that the discs themselves are rewritable and you never really guaranteed to get the game that was originally on there, yada yada yada. It's something I don't really want to mess around with. I probably will get one in the future, but I would rather just stick to the raw cartridges anyway. But yeah, like, speaking of that though, it's quite interesting. It's probably the most interesting game that I bought for the Famicom is Zelda 1. So for those who don't know, the first Zelda was a disc system game. It was one of the reasons that Nintendo made the disc system as well, because it allowed for additional audio channels and stuff. But this one is basically the Western Zelda 1, but on a cartridge instead. It has this incredibly ugly 1 on the title, which I think is quite funny, because this is just The Legend of Zelda 1, they just called it, which is pretty funny. I think this was, yeah, this says here, this was 92, so this was a later release, I believe. There were a couple of other games that some companies did decide to, you know, once they realized that the disc system was kind of whack, that they just made them in cartridges again. Like, I believe the first Castlevania was a disc system game, and they re-released that on a cartridge as well. But these little conversions are, you know, could be quite hard to find. But this is like, you know, I just had to have Zelda 1. This is probably my favorite NES game. I just absolutely love it. I am curious to see if this still has the exclusive sort of Japanese content in the game, because the AV Famicom, both controllers are exactly the same. It doesn't have like the microphone on the second controller like the original did. So I'm wondering if, like, you know, everything to do with the Pole's voices and everything like that is like still intact in this version. It'll be really, really interesting to mess around and figure that out. But yeah, Zelda 1. Zelda 2 never got that conversion. It's still just a disc system game, so I'm just gonna have to stick with that one now. But some others as well, like Metroid 1 was a disc system game, unfortunately, so yeah. And then next we have Kirby. I mostly bought this because I just, well, I think Kirby's Adventure is one of the more impressive Famicom/NES games. But I just really, really like this pink cartridge. I just think it's very cute looking. This took me a bit to find because I forgot that like the way the games are organized in the likes of Book Off and Surigaya, they're always really well organized in hiragana. So I went to Ka for, you know, Kabi. But in Japan, Kirby's known as Hoshi no Kabi, so I had to look at the hos or the has rather than the Kas. So that's how I eventually found it. But yeah, I just thought this was really cool to own. Again, another quintessential Nintendo series. I know that Kirby originally started on the Game Boy, but I think this is a really cool cartridge to own. I know this game sort of has a lot of frame rate and stutter issues on its original hardware. Like, if you were to play this game these days, I would just recommend the 3D Classics version, which runs at, you know, silky smooth frame rate. But this is still really, really cool to own, and, you know, maybe I'll finally finish it on this one. And then finally, I decided just to, because it's the Famicom, I got the original 4 Dragon Quest games, also on the Famicom. I'm gonna flip them around. So yeah, Dragon Quest 1 through 4. These were very, very easy to find, except for this one. I don't know why, but it took me ages to find Dragon Quest 1 specifically. I'm unsure why. I think this, along with Dragon Quest 3, are very big speedrun games in Japan, so maybe that had something to do with it. But yeah, as you can see, like, this one was 1,800 yen, and the rest were like, you know, 270 yen and 700 yen, as you can see on 4. So it's, I don't know why it took me so long to find one. I thought they would be common because when I was looking for these, there were so many 3s. My god, there were so many 3s. There were a lot of 2 and 4s as well. But I only ever saw one Dragon Quest 1. I don't know what that means, but it's interesting in its own right. I'm glad to own these as well because, you know, you've got the original Akira Toriyama artwork on these cartridges, which is, you know, just a timeless, absolutely timeless art style. While the American ones are called Dragon Warrior and has very generic looking fantasy art on them instead. But yeah, like, these are great, and I just played the remake of Dragon Quest 3 at the start of this year, which I absolutely loved, and I know these two I just got remade as well, which I'm going to be playing soon as well. But it's just really cool to own the original versions. I wonder if 4 will get that remake treatment as well. I'm sure it will. Yes, and I also, like, I already own Dragon Quests 5 and 6 on Super Famicom, and then 8, 9, and 11, you know, in English as well. I do own the Super Famicom versions of these 3 as well as the remakes and the DS version of 4. And then another game I'm going to show later. Foreshadowing. I did buy another Dragon Quest game. I was trying to get, like, all the Japanese versions. The only one I could never find was 10. I know that Dragon Quest 10 is an MMO. It started live from the Wii, so I was trying to find, like, the Wii version or the Wii U version of that game, but I couldn't find them anywhere. I'm assuming that second-hand stores don't buy them anymore because you technically can't play them anymore because those servers are long gone. But it would just be a collector's item. There is an offline version of Dragon Quest 10, which would, you know, I don't think that game's ever going to come out in the West, but I'm sure that'll get cheaper over time as well. So that's about it for Famicom stuff. But when I was setting up for this video, I realized that last year, I'm just going to do a weird comparison. I bought this from the Nintendo store in Shibuya. This is just a little holder for like post-it notes and stuff, so you can just write stuff on them. I don't know why you would ever use these, considering they're absolutely gorgeous and cute looking. But I think it's quite funny that I can now like finally compare this to the original cartridge. And you know, as you can see, it's they're pretty one-to-one, honestly. Obviously this one's a bit cleaner because it's you know, this is from 1985, so it's quite old. But you can see it lines up very well, like the dimensions of it, even like the back, even though I can't quite check, but this was a common sticker on like the back of a lot of these cartridges. You can see that here. That's crazy. Wow. So that's kind of fun. You can sort of compare them like this. I only bought this last year because I was like, I don't own a Famicom, but this would be a sort of cool thing to own. And actually, it should like perfectly fit into this. I don't know why I'm making a big deal out of this, considering that I have the actual cartridge, but yeah, that goes in pretty well. So there you go. It doesn't have any, you know, chips at the end of it, but there you go. So moving on to Famicom stuff, I just have like one more thing to talk about before we move on. I got a Game Boy game. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories. That's what it was called in the West, but I believe this was the second Yu-Gi-Oh! Game to be released on the Game Boy in Japan. I literally only bought this because 182 yen, so you know, this is basically like a £1 equivalent for us. But I literally only bought this because I needed to earn over 5,000 yen to get a tax return. So I was at like 4,900 yen for something, and I just bought this just to get that tax-free purchase, baby. Yeah, a lot of games in Japan are still quite cheap. Like a lot of people do make a big deal over the fact that, like, you know, oh, everything's so expensive now in tourist trappy because of COVID and yada yada yada, and that is true. Like, it's definitely a lot more expensive than it used to be, but you can still get just amazing deals. And this was a game I was genuinely interested in anyway. There's so many Yu-Gi-Oh! Games on the Game Boy, it's actually quite insane. But yeah, just to move on from that, I'm gonna move on. I'm just gonna do all the Nintendo systems. So now I'm gonna move on to I believe the DS, so I'll be right back. Alright, so here we are back with DS. So I only have a couple to show you this year, some interesting ones, so I'm going to do these both together. So we have Osu Tatake Oedan. I probably just completely butchered how I said that, but yeah, so for those who don't know, these are rhythm games made by the same people that made Guitar Man, which is probably my favorite rhythm game ever. These you probably also recognize because it says Osu. That is like a fan game made based on the mechanics of this game, which is like widely popular on Steam and stuff. But this is where it originated. People who have played something similar to this before, this was actually reimagined in the West as Elite Beat Agents, which is like another incredible rhythm game on the DS. But these are the originals. I believe the reason Elite Beat Agents was made in the first place was because these were sort of very highly imported games from the West because of just unique, quirky, you know, Japanese rhythm game. Really, really good music, even though they're just covers of real songs. It's the same Elite Beat Agents. But this is just a really fun fun rhythm game. Like, who doesn't love Japanese rhythm games? They're always really, really fun and entertaining. Yeah, I can't wait to play these. I really, really love Elite Beat Agents, and you know, I don't think you need a ton of English to understand and appreciate these games. So yeah, very, very excited to play these. And then moving on to 3DS. So this was some of the foreshadowing I was doing earlier. So this is Dragon Quest XI. I think a lot of people don't know this, but Dragon Quest XI in Japan was released on 3DS, and it's like the exact same game, but it's with chibi graphics. It looks a lot more like the sort of Dragon Quest VII remake on the 3DS. Very, very weird. I believe this one also has the feature, you can see it from that screenshot there, that like that you can play this entire game in like a sort of 16-bit style, which is just really, really cool. So yeah, a lot of the features that were in this version of the game were eventually carried over to the definitive version of Dragon Quest XI. But I just thought this was such an oddity that, like, this game is like, you can see like comparisons on YouTube, but it's just like a 1-to-1 downsized version of Dragon Quest XI on the 3DS. It's very, very interesting. As soon as I found out that this version existed, I just had to have it. It sort of reminds me of the Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition, where it was just this downsized, like, chibi version of the game for mobile devices that eventually was put on like the Switch and other consoles and stuff. But yeah, just very, very strange. I can't wait to check this one out too. So moving on from DS and 3DS, I'm gonna go on to the Wii. So first up, we have a Wii game that's barely a Wii game. We have the new Play Control version of Chibi Robo. So this was just recently, well, the GameCube version was originally just released on the Switch 2, the GameCube Online service on there, which is pretty neat. This was one of the games I really, really wanted to find last year, but I just never found it. And then this year, of course, it was like one of the first ones I found. So this is the only new Play Control game that never came out of Japan, and it just barely has motion controls. Like, this is probably like the only Wii Play Control game that does not benefit from being on the Wii, aside from the fact that it's in widescreen now, which is pretty neat. So I just think that's really, really interesting. I've never played Chibi Robo. I've always wanted to. It's always been one of those ethereal, like, expensive, weird GameCube games. I've just fully accepted the fact, even though that it has now been re-released, that I'm never going to own it. So having the strange Wii version that never left Japan as like my version of the game is quite funny. So yeah, I'm quite excited to play this. I don't know why they slightly changed the cover art for this as well. I'll put the other one on screen here, but normally he's like holding his little plug on his head, but it's just a piece of paper in this version. Very strange. I don't know. Yeah, I can add this to my collection of, you know, new Play Control Wii games as well, I guess. And then the second Wii game I got was, I don't know what you call it, depending on where you are, Fatal Frame, or, what's it called in Europe? It's like Project X or something like that. I'll put that up on screen. But this is Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. This one eventually did leave Japan. I think I got a remake quite recently, but the reason I wanted it so badly was this was directed by Suda51 during this weird phase of his career where he was just directing so many goddamn projects. It was kind of insane. And this is just like a really interesting little horror game for the Wii. Apparently it's really good as well, like one of the better Fatal Frame games. Project Zero, that's what it's called. I just remembered it. That's what it's called in Europe. But yeah, so yeah, I was going on like a collection journey a couple of years ago where I really wanted to own and play all of the Suda51 directed games, and this was like the last one I needed for that collection. I'm unsure if I want to play the remake of this or not. Like, I'm assuming like you don't need a ton of understanding of Japanese to appreciate this game, but yeah, it's just really cool. I think it's just, you know, if Suda's name wasn't really attached to this, I probably wouldn't be as interested, but this is a cool one to own. Right. Now I'm going to move on to Switch, so I'll be right back for that. Okay, Nintendo Switch. So we only have 2 games for this, but 2 games I really wanted to get last year as well, but I eventually did find them. So, Cave Story. Yeah, so this is one of my absolute favorite games of all time. It was such a huge inspiration to me when I was a teenager, and even still today. This game did release in Europe, but not physically. It also came out in America, but in America it was published by Nicholas, who did not publish this Japanese version. It was done by Piki. Never really heard of them before, but yeah, I just think this has really, really cute artwork. It's sort of reversible. I put the curly burst one in front, but normally it has quote and Balrog on it. But yeah, this is one of my favorite games. I always wanted it physically. I know that, like, you know, the pure way to play this game is to download that 2004 freeware version with an English patch and just go take it from there. This is the Plus version. But this is like, weirdly, the Switch version of this is like the most fully featured. It's in like widescreen. It's got like bloom lighting and nice water effects. I don't know why. Like, I think all this stuff's kind of cool. It also has like a million different soundtrack options, but like, I feel like it's just completely unnecessary. I do think that the best way to play this game is just to download that free 2004 version of the game or play it on the DSi, which is just a port of that version of the game. So there's no plus stuff in it. But I just wanted to own a physical copy of this game because I really wanted to own a physical copy of like all my favorite games, and it took me a long time to find this in Japan, despite having an English spine. You know, you'd think that would make it easier to find, but this was the only copy I did find, so I'm really really happy to own this. And then similarly, it's gonna be quite big, but I bought Ib. This is another indie game from Japan that had a massive influence on me. I did not expect to get the collector's edition of this game. I literally just went over and I picked up, like, you know, it was just in this box, and I went out to pay for it, and the guy gave me this, and I was like, I thought he was like mistaken at first, but he was like, no, this is like, this is it. This is the box is included in this. It's just, you know, this is the only version of the game you can get, which is neat. Because it wasn't that expensive. It was only about 4,000 yen, which is crazy. This does come with an art book inside, as well as a physical copy of the game. This is like a RPG maker horror game. It came out, I think, in like 2010 originally. And I love this. This sort of genre doesn't really exist anymore for like RPG maker horror games. Like, I think it's just gotten a lot easier to get into game development, and there's a lot more options than there were previously, like especially with like Unity and Unreal and just the amount of tutorials out there. But for the longest time, RPG Maker was like the simplest way to make games like this, and it's just a sort of, it's a lost art in a way. Like, I do think that they still exist. I believe like Fear and Hunger was made in RPG Maker, but these used to be everywhere. You know, you had stuff like Corpse Party and The Crooked Man, and To the Moon. Like, there's so many of them, but it's good that they're all getting like remade and ported to modern systems. Like, I know Yume Nikki is now on Steam now as well. I would love to own a physical copy of Yume Nikki. I don't think that's ever going to happen though. But owning Ib, really cool. Like, I really like the box art as well, and yeah, I can't wait to play this game again. It's gonna be really cool. And then finally, this isn't a game, but this was one of the things I really wanted to find, and I got it. I was looking for this last year. The 6-button Mega Drive controller for the Switch. So the West never got this. Only Japan got the 6-button controller. Both America and Europe got the 3-button controller, which is, you know, slightly more iconic. But this one is just way more useful and interesting. A lot of games didn't really take full advantage of the 6-button controller, but it's actually a really nice controller. I'm just gonna open it up here, but yeah, I actually did buy this in the Nintendo store in Shibuya. I saw they just had like a box for it, and you just take it up to the counter. There's a lovely USB-C cable there. Just get rid of that for now. And for some weird reason, I thought that they wouldn't allow me to buy this. It's like, hey, this is exclusive to Japan, you can't get this. Which is, you know, why I wanted it in the first place. But yeah, here you are. Wow. It's really nice controller. It's really small as well. It's a lot smaller than the regular Mega Drive controller. And these buttons are quite nice and smooth. It just feels really nice in the hands. It's really nice and curved. And like, I do like the Mega Drive controller, but this one's just a lot. It is quite big, and this one's a lot more ergonomic. You know, it would still be ideal if it had shoulder buttons like the Super Nintendo. But I think they just, you know, they wanted to do their own thing. They didn't just want to leech off Nintendo or whatever Sega was thinking back then. Still absolutely bizarre to see both Nintendo and Sega's logo next to each other on a controller. It's really cool. But yeah, I was just able to buy this, so this is like a brand new controller bought from the Nintendo store. speaking of the Nintendo store, is really it's just, that store is amazing in its own right. Like, everyone should go there if you're a fan of Nintendo. And I don't have them here with me at the minute, but right before I went to Japan, like literally like a week before, they announced like all this Metroid merch was coming out because of Prime 4. And you bet your sweet ass I bought every single one of those things. I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like really surprised that I just like came up with this big, you know, basket of Metroid stuff, and then also could I get this controller as well, please? It's pretty great. That guy was really nice. I was wearing like a Kamen Rider shirt when I was talking to him, and we had a really nice conversation about Kamen Rider that I completely forgot to ask for a tax-free payment, so I lost. That guy cost me like 2,000 yen or whatever. I was well happy to get this, especially with the box as well. So now I own all like the Switch Online controllers. I got the Famicom ones last year. I didn't get them in the Nintendo store last year. I actually got them in Trader secondhand because I didn't see the option to buy it straight from Nintendo, but this year I did. So maybe they changed their minds on that a little bit, but this is really good to own. If only I could play, you know, I can now like use this to play like a modded version of Alien Soldier that uses all 6 buttons. Can't wait. It's gonna be great. So yeah, I'm just gonna move on now to PlayStation. Let's go to PlayStation. Okay, PlayStation. So this is probably where I got most of my games from. There's so many goddamn games in the PS1, dude. Especially in Japan that never left it. You can probably tell that so far, aside from the Famicom, I've been buying a lot of games that never came out in Europe, which is like where I'm mostly focused on, physically or otherwise. So a lot of that is like key to a lot of the PlayStation 1 games that I bought. So starting off with Dragon Quest 7. So this is like another thing I was alluding to earlier. I do own the 3DS version of this, and it's gonna get another remake, of course, because these games just keep getting remade. But I really wanted to own the PlayStation original. Absolutely love the box art here, and on the back as well. This was only like 200 yen because it's missing the manual, but how can you turn down something for 200 yen? Literally a pound for all of this in just stunning condition. So yeah, like I said earlier when I was talking about Dragon Quest 11, but I now own all of the Dragon Quest games except for 10. I'll probably get my hands on that offline version at some point of 10, but it's really cool to own this. And look, it has English on its spine, so it's really easy to display and look for. I know a lot of people swear by this version of the game. There's some controversy with like the remake cutting down on like the first several hours of this game, which I've never experienced because I've only played the 3DS version of this game. But it's still sort of there in the 3DS version, where there's just a lot of puzzle solving, walking about, talking, and just taking in the world that you're in, which is kind of neat. But this game is very long. Like, it's probably the longest Dragon Quest game. It's like 70-80 hours long. And I do quite like it, but it does tend to drag a lot. Like, I do like my JRPGs to be around 20 to 30 hours, like a lot of the best ones are around that length. So yeah, I still really like this game. I'm very excited to own it. Next, continuing with well, that was Enix. This is going to Square, which is sort of close. We have Parasite Eve. So the first game of this never came out in Europe. We did get the second game, but not the first one. Really annoying. That happened a lot during the PlayStation 1 and 2 days. But this is a game I've always been really interested in. I've seen like screenshots of it and gameplay of it over the years, and it just looks absolutely insane. I'm very excited to sit down and play this. Again, thank you Square for putting English on the spine, so again, very easy to find. So this is like a cinematic, it says the cinematic RPG. I mean, you're already getting a lot more cinematic during this era anyway, Square, but whatever. The fact it says Square USA as well, I didn't actually know this game was made in America. I mean, I know it has an English title and stuff, but yeah, really cool and interesting game. I don't own Parasite Eve 2, but now I can like pair it with this to have like the complete collection. We're not talking about the third birthday or whatever the hell Parasite Eve 3 is on the PSP. And then I think Square own the rights to this one. nowadays. But yeah, Valkyrie profile. So again, this game never came out in Europe. We did get the PSP version. I believe it's called Lenneth. The Lenneth subtitle. This is another like gorgeous looking PS1 game, beautiful sprites, English in the spine. Thank you. And I believe the PSP version of this game is a lot better, but it replaces a lot of the sort of really nice looking sort of 2D anime cutscenes with like more CG ones. So this is just the original. This game in America is so expensive, but you can't see it there because it's been covered by a sticker, but this cost me like 900 yen, which I'm like, bruh, really? Okay, I'll get that. There's so many games I bought because I just saw them being like, you know, under a fire, and I was like, well, yeah, like no duh, of course I'm gonna buy that and check it out. Yeah, I do own the PSP version of this. It's called on the PS1 original. It'll go well with Valkyrie Profile 2. That did come out in Europe. And then moving on to slightly more rerun, but JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on PS1, also known as Heritage for the Future. This was the JoJo fighting game made by Capcom, as you can see up here. It was actually made by the same team that did Street Fighter 3, so you know this game is absolutely amazing. Gorgeous sprite work, brilliant music, just the cover as well, man. Just Araki's art style was just so on point during this era. So originally this game was not on my list. I originally wanted to find the PS2 JoJo game, the one based on Part 5 that's also made by Capcom. And I did find it, but it was like 8,000 yen, and I was like, ugh. This one was only 3,000 yen. So I decided to go with this one instead. I know this isn't like the best version of this game. There is a Dreamcast version, and of course you have the arcade original, but I just decided to go for the PS1 copy. It has really nice artwork, and yeah, I just thought that I would take that as a consolation prize over the PS2 game. I did look it up after, and like the PS2 version, or not the version, but the Part 5 JoJo game goes for like 30 odd quid, 20 to 30 odd quid on eBay. While, you know, the only copy of it I found in Japan was 8,000 yen, which is like 40 quid, and I was like, weird. That's like the only time so far that has happened, that I've seen something for so much. It was just so much more expensive in person in Japan. So I don't know, maybe, you know, because it's JoJo and a lot of Western fans love JoJo, that they would take advantage of that, or people who didn't know that. So yeah, but yeah, Heritage of the Future, this game's awesome. Really, I mean, it's a broken fucking game. Pet Shop is just absolutely bizarre and unfair, and so is Kakyoin. You know, you put a character in with that is small that can fly versus one that is just has the longest range imaginable. Absolutely insane, but you know, broken fighting games are like the most interesting ones to watch, in my opinion. Next we have Tokimeki Memorial. So last year I bought Boku no Natsuyasumi, which was reviewed by Tim Rogers, Action Button on YouTube, and before that he reviewed this game. Those two videos I feel like were the games that really, you know, had them break out, and those two videos of Tokimeki Memorial and also Boku no Natsuyasumi are just some of my favorite videos on YouTube. So I just had to own it to go along with that. So yeah, like this is completely unplayable to me because it's a dating sim in Japanese, and you know, the entire game is about reading. So I won't be able to play this. I don't even believe that this game got an English translation in any form. I'm sure there's a fan translation out there somewhere, but this game was ported to absolutely everything back in the day. But this version with this box art is the one that Tim Rogers reviewed, so I just had to own this one. Yeah, I don't know who Best Girl is, but probably the green-haired one. That one. Am I pointing to the right one? Yeah, I don't know. Tokimeki effin' Memorial. So yeah, next up we have this one. This is a weird one. So last year we talked, I talked about getting Umehara Kawase, this very strange looking Super Famicom game, and this is the sequel to it. I also think it includes a port of it on there. So this is the sequel to it. It has this, again, just really nice artwork of the protagonist on the front, which, you know, doesn't really actually reflect the game itself, which is very strange and abstract. It says 16-bit there, so I'm unsure if this is a sequel or a remake or whatever, but either way, the series is very strange. None of them has ever left Japan, and I'm all for weird Japanese platformers with weird music and art in it. Like, that's just why I love the game so much. So yeah, I forget the name of this one, but I know it's I think it's Umihara Kawasaki versus Kawase from the last one. So yeah, probably the most obscure game on the list. And then finally, we have the Silver Kiss. So this was my most wanted game to find in Japan last year. I think I mentioned in last year's video when I was talking about Flower, Sun and Rain that I saw the Silver Case, but I didn't buy it because it was 8,000 yen. This one's 3,000 yen, much more reasonable. I'm a massive fan of Suda51, as previously mentioned when I was talking about Fatal Frame. But I just played I played this game last year, and this year I played its sequel, the 25th Ward. Man, I just absolutely love these games. They're just so weird, incredible music, gorgeous sort of presentation, and has that Suda51 writing all there intact. So I really wanted to own a physical copy of the original Silver Case. I have seen, like, you know, I was so tempted just to buy this on eBay this year because it was like the one game I really missed out on last year. And of course it was like the first game I saw this year, which is, you know, that's how it goes. I had a big smile on my face when I saw this. So yeah, the Silver Case, again, like Tokyo Mech Memorial, it's a visual novel, so I can't play this version of the game, but I just wanted to own it to go along with the physical copy of the remasters with the 25th Ward and stuff. So yeah, great pickup. So, gonna move on to PlayStation 2 now. Okay, so PlayStation 2. Pretty boring. Pretty boring this year because it's they're all quick and easy to talk about, but they're all from Namco, would you believe? So, starting with Katamari Damacy. Europe unfortunately never got this game until 2017 when we got the remaster, but I always did want to own the original PS2 copy because of this, you know, iconic cover art. I really love this game. So does my girlfriend. We just absolutely love playing this game together. We love Katamari especially. So it's really cool to own it. I mean, 980 yen, how could I say no? Europe did get We Love Katamari, which I do own, so this is going to pair well with it. So yeah, everyone should play this game. This game's amazing. Play the remaster as well. It's very easily accessible and goes on sale all the time. So yeah, Katamari, motherfucking Damacy. And then these two, I'm going to do them together. So we have Xenosaga and we have Xenosaga 3. Oh, what about Xenosaga 2? Well, this series is very weird in Europe. We got Xenosaga 2. I'll put a picture of it on the screen, but Europe got a really thick copy of Xenosaga 2 because it included DVD about what happened in Xenosaga 1, which is so strange. I don't know why they decided to do that. And then that version of the game sold so poorly that we never even got the third episode. So weird that Europe only got the second game in a trilogy. I don't know, I just think that's really funny. So I did see the second game, but I decided, no, I'm just going to get the European copy, and I'm going to sandwich these two with it. So yeah, these games are really interesting. They're made by, you know, the team that went on to make Xenoblade Chronicles, which is, you know, I really like that series a lot as well. I also played Xenogears earlier this year, which I also loved. The series is absolutely bizarre, but, you know, first one with Square, next series with Namco, and then the next series with Nintendo. All over the place, the series. They'll never ever all be in the one place. But I just thought it'd be cool to own 1 and 3 to go along with 2, just to finish out and say that I've, you know, played the trilogy. I'm probably never going to play these games until they get some sort of remaster. I'm hoping they will do that because they did that Namco did that Baten Kaidos remaster for the Switch, and I'm hoping that, like, you know, they have to remaster these games. Like, it's just, it has to happen. Free money. And it would just be really good to, like, you know, I want to play them all in English. I know these came out in America, but like, that's a whole other thing. So this is really cool. I'm really, really glad to own 1 and 3, but not 2. And then finally, this isn't a PS2 game, it's a PSP game, but this was probably my most wanted game to find. This was also the most expensive game that I bought, and that is Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. So again, more RPG shenanigans going on in Europe. We did, for those who don't know, Persona 2 is 2 games. The first game's Innocent Sin, and this one's Eternal Punishment. Europe did get Innocent Sin, but we did not get Eternal Punishment, and these games are a pair. They're sort of like the Digital Devil Saga games, where like they're meant to be one long experience. So I think it's just absolutely insane that Europe never got this. Now, this was a late release in Japan even. This came out in 2012. So that's pretty late for a PSP game. Like the 3DS was, and the Vita were already out at that point. So I can sort of understand why they decided not to release this, but you know, you're missing the second half of the story here. You need both games. So yeah, like this is similar to America as well, where I believe America never got Innocent Sin, but they got Eternal Punishment originally on the PS1, which is weird. Again, you're releasing the second half of the story first. How are people meant to know? It's just so weird. But I really, really wanted to own this. This is going to go very, very well with my Innocent Sin copy, which is probably the most expensive game I own. That game is so expensive now, man. They really need to re-release Persona 2 in some form. They're probably going to remake them instead of re-releasing them, but who knows. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to own this game with Innocent Sin. You can see Tatsuya there, who's the protagonist of Innocent Sin. I actually had to ask for this. This game was in a glass cabinet in Surigaya in Akihabara. I spent 13,000 yen on it. Well, a bit less. That's with the tax included, so it was more like 12,000 yen. But still, I really, really wanted this, and it just feels so good to do it. I now own all the Persona games, which is fantastic. And now I just need to own all the Mega 10 games as a whole. Whoa, it's going to be really, really challenging to get. But this is a really good one to own. So I'm going to move on to the rest of the games I bought, which are just in a random pile. So yeah, these are the last few games I got. They're not PlayStation or Nintendo, but this one is related to the last one, and I could not believe that I found this. Genuinely shocking. Shin Megami Tensei 9. Wow, a Japanese Xbox game. How crazy is this? So this was one of the biggest games I wanted, even last year when I was looking for it. But it was also like, I fully was aware that this was a pure Hail Mary, because it was like, the Xbox has never, ever been popular in Japan. The original Xbox was probably at its most popular because there was a huge Japanese game development effort to get a lot of Japanese players interested. So you had like this, and you had like the Ninja Gaiden reboots, and you had like a lot of weird mecha games like what's it, Metal Wolf Chaos or whatever. And this is one of them. So Shin Megami Tensei 9 is this, I believe, is the first 3D Mega 10 game, which is bizarre. This came out before Nocturne. You can see there it's in 2002. This is a very strange game that I believe is kind of like an MMO, but not really. I think it has to do with the characters entering a virtual world. I have no idea. This is one of the most obscure Mega 10 games. It's up there with like Jack Brothers, so you can count how many people have actually played and experienced it, probably on 2 hands. But I thought I would never find this, and it was only 3,000 yen in a Surigaya. And I was like, oh my god, I genuinely thought I would never, ever, ever see this. And it's just really cool to own. I don't think this game will ever be re-released or translated, but it's just such a weird oddity to own, especially just a Japanese Xbox game, you know, man. It's just so strange. Really, really cool. And then finally, I'm moving on to Dreamcast. So this year I just obtained the Dreamcast. I absolutely love the thing. I've wanted a Dreamcast for a long time. And the first game I got in it is just one of my favorite games of all time as well. We've got Ikaruga. This is probably the second most expensive game I bought. Again, like the Osu Tatake Oedan game that I talked about earlier, this was a huge import outside of Japan at the time. Ikaruga is one of the best shmups ever made. It's made by Treasure. Like all shmups, it's very, very difficult. But once you get over that learning curve and you actually start learning to, you know, play by the game's rules, it just becomes so addicting. I absolutely love Ikaruga and all of its forms, and I just love the simplicity of this packaging as well. And I can actually play this on my PAL Dreamcast because of it's very easy to get around the the system lockout chip and stuff for to play any region. So yeah, this is sort of similar as well to Cave Story earlier, where I just wanted to own a physical copy of all of my favorite games. So it's really, really cool to own Ikaruga in probably its best form, you know. Moving on to another Dreamcast game, Typing of the Dead. Like Ikaruga, actually, I should mention, these games never came out in Europe. Yeah, I think Ikaruga was exclusive to Japan. It's never even came out in America. This one did. The Typing of the Dead. So this is, I've again played this for the first time this year. This game is so good, man. I don't know. It becomes brutally difficult in like the last two stages, but it's just so fun and so funny and so campy. I love that the characters go around with their little keyboards and they shoot out of it. It's just really, really fun. I am interested in playing this Japanese version because you probably can't see from the screenshots or whatever, but there seems to be English above them, so there might be a mode where you can play it in English. I believe that the US version is, they use completely different vocabulary and words, obviously. But I just wanted to own a physical copy of this game because I really, really, really loved it when I played it earlier this year, and it's a shame that it never came out in Europe. I get it. We have to do a German release and an Italian and a French and Spanish, and I get all that, but I don't know. I really do like this game. Passed the dad test. Even my dad likes this game. That's how you know it's really good. And then finally, quite a strange one. We have a Cardcaptor Sakura game. I mostly bought this because my girlfriend's a massive fan, and when I found out that there was a Sakura game on the Dreamcast, I just had to have it. Mainly because the models are absolutely fucking terrifying looking. It also comes with a version of Tetris. I don't know anything about this game except that you play as Tomio, Sakura's friend, and you basically reenact what she does in the show, where she records her and captures all of her adventures. It's very, very strange, and there are a lot of anime games on the Dreamcast, especially around this time. It was on my list, but I didn't find it. There's Evangelion typing games. There's just a lot of very strange experimental anime games that came out on the Dreamcast and around it. So I just said, it was only 1,600 yen. Why the hell not? Look at that freaking model of Tomio. Holy shit. And that's all the games I bought. I'm pretty sure that's all it is. So I'm just going to move on to some miscellaneous things. Starting with transition. So starting with some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So I don't know why I never got any of these last year, but I did not buy any Yu-Gi-Oh cards or just any cards in general last year. God, man, I went stupid with these. I've always been a fan of Ultimate Rare Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but they're always so expensive in the West. But these Japanese ones are so cheap. Oh my god. So we've got like Trident Dragon and Turbo Warrior and the Stardust. Man, the Stardust. I only paid like 1,000 yen for it because it is, people will call that well loved, shall we say. Man, I just absolutely love Ultimate Rare cards. Like, I feel so like a king owning these cards, because in English, like 500 yen. Like, these are so rare and expensive, and you know, I use these especially in some like, you know, retro Yu-Gi-Oh decks, like Edison format mainly, because these are all synchros. But like in English, you're not going to get that for, you know, £3. Gorgeous looking Trident Dragon. All these are so gorgeous. Like I just, every time I saw an alternate rare for so cheap, I was just like, I need to own these, my god. So yeah, these are like what I mainly focused on this year in terms of cards, but I did get some more interesting ones as well on top of that. This was a card I've wanted to own for a long time. This is the Bandai Summon Skull. So Summon Skull is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card ever since I pulled a holographic version of it as a kid from Metal Raiders. You know, I think people, when it comes to like Yu-Gi-Oh cards or even like Pokemon and stuff, it's usually your first love is something that you have a special moment with. So it being the first holographic card I pulled means, you know, it's not mine. It's not my favorite. So this is the Bandai version. So for those who don't know, before Konami came along and made their version of the card game, Bandai was the first one to do it. And the cards are more based on the manga. So you have more sort of Kazuki Takahashi artwork on it. So you have like Summon Skull being red. Oh, it's so gross, he's so fleshy. Even when he did his anniversary artwork for the actual official TCG, he's also red. So this is just really, really cool to own. And then also just some like, you know, censored cards as well, like, or uncensored cards I should say, out of Japan, like this Parasite man. Oh, it's so gross, and it's so cool in comparison to the English version, which is just really boring. I also decided to pick up a Tomb Blue Eyes. Even like in English, these are really expensive. I know it was a secret rare originally in Spell Ruler, but I just love the sort of the rainbow falling on it as well, and I just absolutely love Blue Eyes Tomb Dragon, absolutely iconic card. And then finally, like probably the most expensive one I bought, I just also love Ghost Rares so much. I'm such a sucker for Ghost Rares. And what a better Ghost Rare to get than the Rainbow Neos. I don't know if you can really see the sort of foil on that. It's in a top loader, so it's probably a bit more difficult to catch that, but yeah. So I only own one other Ghost Rare that's also Japanese that I traded someone for a long time ago, but I just really wanted to own another one because I just think they're absolutely stunning looking. Let me see if I can get that angle just right. Oh man, look at that. Yeah, so this is a Rainbow Neos, quite fitting to get in a Ghost Rare, honestly. The way it just sort of looks, the sort of background of it, man, that is absolutely gorgeous. I love Ghost Rares. So this was like another thing I wanted to write from last time, where I just wanted to get some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Didn't get any Pokemon cards. Most of the card shops I did see were focused on Pokemon. You know, Pokemon's a hot thing right now, so obviously you're not going to get as much variety when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I'm okay with that considering how cheap these cards were. Look at all these ultis, man. They're all synchros as well, so they all look great, and they're all from their original sets. None of them are first edition, which I'm absolutely fine with. You know, you got a Raging Battle, Trident Dragon, you've got a Crossroads of Chaos, Turbo Warrior, a Duelist Genesis Stardust Dragon. I can't believe I own an ulti Stardust Dragon, man. It's so cool. But yeah, that's in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And then the final thing I just want to go over real quick are some CDs that I bought. So I really, last year I bought a record from Japan, from Tower Records, which is just a place that, God, everyone needs to go to. It's so sweet. But a lot of these Japanese records are out of print and are quite expensive. So I just decided to get some CDs. I'm leaning away a lot more these days from sort of streaming services and all that crack, you know. I just get a bit sick of their AI bullshit and just being, you know, not paying artists enough. So I've decided just to go and get some raw CDs and, you know, just import them into my phone, like, you know, like the good old days, right? I don't know. But yeah, I got a Fishman CD. Man, it would be really cool to own this in vinyl, but they're very expensive, so I will take long season in CD format. These are really easy to find. Again, these are all quite popular artists. So So, you know, they really are catering to the tourists there. We've got a Pillows record there. We've got a Suzume Hirasawa record as well, Technique of Relief. And then All of Me by Tanaka, because of course you need Tanaka, man. Or Takanaka, I should say. Sorry, Takanaka. This cover is absolutely iconic. Look at him go. I did see the record of this second hand. It was like 17,000 yen. Oh god. But seeing this, just, you know, 1,000 yen or so, or 2,000 yen for the CD, I will take happily. But yeah, that's about it for all the shit that I bought in Japan. I did buy figures and stuff as well, but just in the essence of time, I wanted to focus mostly on games and some miscellaneous stuff. So yeah, that's about it. If you're still here and you're still listening, I appreciate it. It's been an absolutely amazing experience. Japan is just this magical place where you will, if you're not careful, lose track of the amount of money that you're spending. I can't wait to go again. I thought I wouldn't. I love learning more about, you know, different kinds of musical artists or games that I've never heard before that, you know, were only in Japan. I think the thing that I wanted most that I couldn't find this year or last year isn't even a rare game. It's Captain Rainbow on the Wii. I still yet to see that game in Japan. It only goes for about 20-30 quid on eBay. It's not a rare game, and I don't think it's that in demand of a game either, so I don't know when I'll find that, but that, you know, hopefully whenever I make another one of these videos, that'll be front and center. Maybe, I don't know. But regardless, thanks for listening, guys, and yeah, it's been great. It's been fun. See you later. Bye.